Alright, now starting with the structure of the alveoli. The lungs are the main site for gas exchange in humans, and they are beautifully designed to make this process as efficient as possible through diffusion. Inside the lungs, there are countless tiny alveolar sacs, which together provide a large surface area to volume ratio. This wide surface allows more oxygen and carbon dioxide to be exchanged quickly and effectively. Each alveolus is a small, balloon-like structure that has very thin walls, made up of just a single layer of cells, and interestingly, the surrounding capillaries are also only one cell thick. This extremely thin barrier creates a very short diffusion distance, which means gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide can move between the air and the blood much faster. The surface of each alveolus is also covered with a thin, moist lining. This moisture is very important because it allows gases to dissolve easily before diffusing across the alveolar membrane into or out of the blood. Now, when we look at how blood moves around the alveoli, deoxygenated blood from the heart flows into the capillaries that surround each alveolus. Here, oxygen from the inhaled air diffuses into the blood, and at the same time, carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses into the alveolus to be exhaled. After this exchange, the now oxygenated blood travels back to the heart, ready to be pumped throughout the body. So overall, the structure of the alveoli, with the thin walls, moist surface, and close connection to blood capillaries, is perfectly adapted to make gas exchange quick, efficient, and continuous. Now, let's move on to the characteristics of the alveoli that make them so well suited for gas exchange. First of all, alveoli have a large surface area. Even though each alveolus is tiny and rounded like a small balloon, together they number in the millions within the lungs. This massive total surface area allows a greater amount of gas to diffuse at one time, making the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide highly efficient. Next, they have thin walls. Both the alveolar walls and the surrounding capillaries are made up of just a single layer of flat, thin cells. This greatly reduces the distance that gases need to travel, allowing oxygen and carbon dioxide to diffuse quickly between the air in the alveoli and the blood in the capillaries. Another key feature is the moist lining inside each alveolus. This thin layer of moisture helps gases dissolve easily before crossing the alveolar membrane. Oxygen must first dissolve in this moisture before it diffuses into the blood, which makes the exchange process much smoother and faster. Then, we have the rich blood supply. Every alveolus is surrounded by a dense network of tiny capillaries that carry blood continuously to and from the lungs. This constant flow maintains a steep concentration gradient, meaning oxygen levels stay high in the alveoli and low in the blood, while carbon dioxide levels stay high in the blood and low in the alveoli. This difference drives efficient gas exchange in both directions. Finally, the alveoli have an elastic structure. This elasticity allows them to expand easily during inhalation when air enters the lungs, and then recoil during exhalation as air is pushed out. This natural flexibility supports ventilation and ensures that fresh air keeps moving in and out, maintaining effective gas exchange at all times. So overall, these characteristics, a large surface area, thin walls, a moist lining, rich blood supply, and elastic structure, all work together to make the alveoli perfectly adapted for the vital role in breathing and gas exchange. Now, let's move on to the function of the alveoli. The lungs contain millions of alveoli, and this large number gives them an enormous surface area to volume ratio. This wide surface allows a much greater amount of gas exchange to take place at the same time, making the process quick and efficient. The primary function of the alveoli is to enable the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the air we breathe and the blood flowing through the surrounding capillaries. When we inhale, oxygen-rich air fills the alveoli. Oxygen then diffuses across the thin alveolar walls into the blood, while carbon dioxide from the blood moves in the opposite direction, from the blood into the alveoli, to be exhaled. The process of ventilation plays a very important role here. Continuous breathing keeps the oxygen concentration high and the carbon dioxide concentration low inside the alveoli. Meanwhile, the rich blood supply brings in blood that is high in carbon dioxide and low in oxygen. This constant difference in gas concentrations, known as a steep concentration gradient, ensures that oxygen always diffuses into the blood and carbon dioxide always diffuses out efficiently. So, in summary, the alveoli are vital for maintaining the body's respiratory gas balance. They ensure that our blood stays rich in oxygen and free of excess carbon dioxide, allowing every cell in the body to receive the oxygen it needs for energy and proper functioning. Now, particularly talking about the role of the alveoli in gas exchange, this is the point where the actual exchange of gases takes place within the lungs. The alveoli are the main sites that allow the movement of gases between the air and the bloodstream. They make it possible for oxygen from the air we inhale to pass into the blood and for carbon dioxide from the blood to pass out into the air we exhale. This constant exchange ensures that the body receives a steady supply of oxygen while getting rid of carbon dioxide effectively. When air reaches the alveoli, oxygen diffuses from the alveoli into the blood because the concentration of oxygen is higher in the alveolar air than in the blood. At the same time, carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the alveoli because its concentration is higher in the blood than in the alveolar air. As the air moves through the warm and moist respiratory passages, the amount of water vapor in it also increases. The process of ventilation plays an essential role here. Continuous breathing keeps the oxygen level high and the carbon dioxide level low inside the alveoli. Meanwhile, the blood flow brings in carbon dioxide-rich blood and carries away the oxygenated blood. This constant flow maintains a steep concentration gradient, which is what drives the rapid diffusion of gases in both directions. Overall, the alveoli's structure and features ensure that gas exchange occurs quickly and efficiently. Their thin walls, moist surface, and close contact with blood capillaries make them perfectly suited to meet the body's metabolic needs, providing oxygen for energy and removing waste carbon dioxide to keep the body in balance.